What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And I'm about to make some sense out of this. Have you ever witnessed a more dumber criminal and corrupt cop than James Comey? Have you? Now, we on the right have been saying and seeing this for the last 3 years plus, but all of those on the left, they held him as a champion for righteousness and all of that good stuff. And he's fighting against the man, the system, that evil, corrupt, disgusting Donald Trump in the White House. And by criticizing him, you're criticizing the hard work and the nobility of the FBI, which we all knew. We weren't criticizing the FBI. We were criticizing James Comey and a couple people at the top. And now we find out that our criticism was well-deserved. So more information came out today about Crossfire, Hurricane / Crossfire, whatever they called it when they were going after Michael Flynn. Now, here's the funny part about this. Michael Flynn, he was in the way. He was a means to an end. Just got in. And of course, relax, he's like, all right, first couple days on the job. And James Comey sends over a couple FBI agents. Now, it would be one thing if we were still under the impression that these FBI agents just decided to go over there on their own. Because a couple days ago, we find out that there's some written information, which I still don't understand why they even wrote anything down. I don't understand why there's one email. They're the dumbest criminals, but James Comey's number one. He's the number one dumb stunner. So there was emails and stuff between people, text messages, written notes. And I'm thinking, you don't leave a trail. I don't understand how y'all even did this. What do you mean? Soon as Trump would have got elected, anything talked about as far as getting him out of the office would have been mouth to mouth. Not only mouth to mouth, but we'd have been like underneath some bush or in a cave somewhere with the old school technology, the lamp. And I ain't talking about electric either. I'm talking about the old school fire lamp, talking about it, but never leave a trail. And now all the crumbs from the trail are being discovered. So we find that they not only talked about what's the goal and objective far as Michael Flynn, but then when some of the agents said, hey, you know what? Let's close this up. It doesn't look like there's nothing to see here with Michael Flynn. Apparently, Peter Strzok, the one he was so offended that people would question his integrity and his bias, told him, wait, don't close it up yet. We got something that we might be able to work with. So, of course, they bring up the Logan Act, which is something stupid, something that nobody has ever been even prosecuted for. But all that was just so they could get Flynn out of the way, because he was an important piece on the chessboard, and get him out the way so they can go after the king. And it apparently worked with the assistance of the media. Now, all of this evidence is coming out. And you find out that they plotted to send these FBI agents to go talk to Flynn for a purpose. Now, if James Comey knew about this long ago, why would he then openly tell someone on TV that he was the one responsible for sending those people there? Yeah, I sent them. I'm like, you got to be the dumbest criminal in the world. Or you're so arrogant that you think that none of this stuff will ever come back up to bite you. Now, remember, if I was Jim Comey, unlike, a smart criminal, this man been on Twitter, going on interviews and playing the victim and boasting and flaunting around like all of these accusations are unwarranted and AG Barr and his investigation is ridiculous. And then he boasted when no charges was pressed against him. And I'm sitting there wondering, so how are some of these people sliding by on the lesser charges? You got my man McCabe, you got Lisa and Peter and James and all these people just seem to be sliding by. All the, you hear about it in the news, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we're not going to press charges. Could it be that they were saying, we're not going to press those charges. we're going to wait until there's some bigger charges coming down the chute, because now we find out that they plotted and sent people to the White House to set up General Flynn. Here's why I say James Comey has to be the dumbest criminal ever, because prior to us discovering these new informations, here's James Comey telling us.
Yes, now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
Y'all hear that? It's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the state room. Now, that's true. We're wondering, how in the world did that happen? Did y'all say, General Flynn, we're coming over to investigate you? We have suspicions. We have this call that we listened to, and we already know you spoke to some people, and we're coming over to talk to you about it. They never even asked him about all that stuff. They ain't telling we got the call. We done heard it. They didn't do none of that. They didn't say, you're going to need a lawyer. In fact, they told him, you won't need a lawyer. We're just coming over to chew the fat, downplayed it, and ended up entrapping this man. Now, here's James Comey confessing that he's the mastermind behind it. Because understand, these FBI agents would have never gone over there rogue. They would have never just said, you know what, Johnson, I got a gut feeling that not James Comey, but Michael Flynn is guilty of perjury and colluding with the Russians. Boom, let's go over. Let's not talk to Jim Comey about it. We'll tell him as an afterthought. So, would they do something like that? Would they go off script so far and approach a high-powered political figure with some shenanigans like this? Do you understand the backlash that would have came if James Comey wouldn't have approved it? So we all know that he was in on it. And now we find out even more, but he confessed that he was in on it right here.
I sent them.
Oh, what? And the crowd laughs.
Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration.
You know what makes me sick about this guy? He tries to act, something that probably wouldn't would have done. In a more organized. See, when he looks up like that to the left, he's lying. In a more organized. I'm going, there's the lie. There's the lie. He's very confident until information comes up that he knows that it's not right. Like, should you have told the president about this? You know what? I don't know. I don't know if I'm like, oh, now you don't know. Everything else I'm sure of. Let's continue.
I wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official. You would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approval.
But because James Comey was rogue and he was running the show. Now, understand, the president was his boss. All right, so you're going to say, I'm not going to check in with my boss on this whole matter. I'm not going to ask my boss, can I send someone in and talk to General Flynn about these matters that actually have something to do with you, boss? You ain't got to do that, because, see, James Comey was a law unto himself. He didn't have to go through protocol or any of those things, because he was pretty much running the whole government, I guess, in his mind. Let's continue.
And who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough. Let's just send a couple guys over.
That was Jim Comey talking about Mike Flynn, who is Donald Trump's first national security advisor.
Okay.
Mike Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his contacts with Russians and became a cooperating witness in the Mueller probe.
Okay.
But the problem with Flynn wasn't just that he lied about his contacts with Russians and got caught doing it. It was that he was a potential target for blackmail by the Russians because they could leverage those lies over him.
Okay.
I asked former FBI Director Jim Comey if Donald Trump didn't pose the same threat.
Yeah, what did he say?
Sally Yates testified before Congress that she had to come over and tell the White House that Mike Flynn was a potential target for blackmail because the Russians knew the truth.
The Russians knew it.
Why wouldn't Donald Trump be a similar target for blackmail if until 2 weeks ago, the Russians knew more than we did about Donald Trump's interest in doing business in Moscow?
I'm going to be a little careful with you here, because I don't want to talk about things I know from the investigation, from the election to when I was fired.
Okay.
It's obviously a concern about any public official if there's significant information that would expose them to embarrassment or to liability that a foreign adversary knows. Those are leverage points. It's the reason we told him about the prostitute business.
Okay.
We didn't know whether it was true or not. And frankly,
no, you knew it wasn't true. In fact, you knew that General Flynn had already had these phone calls, and you knew that the Russians were not even a factor in this. You knew that if it ever came out that he had some conversations with some Russians, it had nothing to do with collusion or any of those things. The Russians probably weren't even paying attention to Michael Flynn in regards to working with President Trump. Michael Flynn was a piece on the chessboard that was in the way to getting to President Trump. So with this funky, corrupt, crooked, dirty, stinking, 7-foot-tall wingworm did was send some agents there to set up a former, well-recognized general who put his life on the line for our country to set this man up on a perjury trap. And when he didn't just roll over, which none of the people that they indicted really did that except for Donald Trump's former crooked, nasty, stinking, dirty weasel lawyer, none of them rolled over, so they penalized them all. They went ahead and made sure that all the people who they tried to pressure and sweat them until they would break and make up something about the president, well, they all said, well, just give me the time. Because, I mean, there's nothing I can tell you. You want me to get blood from a turnip? And so here's James Comey right here confessing to the crime. Yep, we sent them. We knew it was chaotic during this time, and normally I would do it the right way. But instead, this time I decided to break all protocol, go around the president, and take advantage of a new administration so we can entrap General Flynn. So there's the confession right there. Right now, this man should be on the phone with his lawyers like, all right, how much do y'all need for a retainer? Look, I sold my book. Y'all, look, we knew this was coming one day. We knew it. So that's why I went on the book tour and signed the deal up front. And I got that money sitting aside so y'all can try to get me off. But I'm going to be honest, y'all, I might be sent to the gallows for treason. You know, I'm just saying. So let's see Big for Nothing get his way out of this. That's what I want to see. I want to see Big for Nothing come on looking up at trees as he's tweeting again. I'm out here just looking at these trees and thinking about prison for the rest of my life. And yeah, I want to see him get on Twitter and talk about these things and justify why all of this information coming out now points all the way back to him. Now, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. Check me out every Wednesday night, 7:30 live in Kevin's Corner on Facebook, YouTube, and my radio blog talk show. Hit like, hit share, subscribe, and the notification button. Make sure you're still subscribed and your notifications set to all. Check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. Put Kevin in the promo code. You'll get a 20% discount. Links below the video. If you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. Links down there as well. God bless. See y'all next time in Kevin's Corner.